Have you ever wondered why some older people seem to quietly fade into isolation? As we age, the words we speak carry more weight than we realize. Every sentence we utter becomes a reflection of how we see ourselves and how we want others to see us. But here's the truth. Some common phrases we say without thinking can slowly push people away. They create distance instead of connection, guilt instead of gratitude, and pity instead of respect. This video isn't about blaming or shaming. It's about helping you recognize how certain phrases can quietly erode the very relationships you cherish most. And more importantly, how to replace them with words that invite closeness, compassion, and dignity. In this video, we'll walk through 6 seemingly harmless phrases that, when repeated over time, can make the people around you feel helpless, misunderstood, or even unwelcome. These words often come from pain or habit, not malice. But the impact they have on your relationships can be profound. So stay with us until the end, because each of these phrases comes with a powerful shift. We'll explore why these words affect others, the way they do, and how you can change them without changing who you are. By the time we finish, you may discover not only how to keep people close, but how to deepen your bonds in ways you never expected. Let's get started. Number 1, the phrase, "I'm just a burden." One of the most quietly damaging things you can say after 70 is this: "I'm just a burden." It may come from a place of vulnerability or exhaustion, but the effect it has on others is far greater than we often realize. When you say these words, what you're really doing is placing an emotional weight on the people around you, forcing them to carry not only your challenges, but also your sense of hopelessness. They may not say it out loud, but it makes them feel helpless, sometimes even guilty, as if no matter what they do, it will never be enough. That kind of pressure can slowly wear away the closeness you once shared. Let me tell you about Harold, a 78-year-old man I once met who used to say this exact phrase to his daughter every time she visited. "I know you've got your own life," he'd tell her. "You don't need to be looking after an old burden like me." He thought he was being considerate, but what he didn't realize was how much it hurt her to hear that, how it made her feel, like her love and effort weren't welcome, like they didn't matter. She eventually started calling less often, not because she loved him any less, but because she felt defeated, like she was losing the father she once knew, to his own sense of worthlessness. When you say, "I'm just a burden," you may think you're being honest. But what others hear is, "You shouldn't care about me." And that message, no matter how softly spoken, can drive people away. Most people want to help, want to be there, want to share time and space with you. They just don't want to feel like their presence makes things worse. And when you diminish your own value, it can make them feel like they're failing you, even when they're trying their best. Instead, try this shift. Say, "Thank you for being here. It means a lot." A simple sentence like that gives others a sense of purpose, of connection. It lets them know their presence matters without making them feel obligated. And most importantly, it keeps the door open for love and closeness to keep flowing in both directions. You're not a burden. You are a person who's lived through decades of stories, losses, triumphs, and wisdom. Don't shrink yourself down to a single phrase that makes others forget how much you still have to offer. Speak words that remind people and yourself that you're still someone worth showing up for. Number 2, the phrase, "Back in my day." Few phrases create more distance between generations than the words, "back in my day." It may seem like an innocent way to share memories, but when it's used too often or too sharply, it can come across as dismissive, judgmental, or stuck in the past. While stories from years gone by hold value, this particular phrase often shuts down the very connection you're trying to build. It can make younger people feel like they're being lectured instead of heard, compared instead of accepted. And when that happens repeatedly, they start pulling away, not because they don't care, but because they don't feel safe being themselves around you. Let me tell you about Donna, a 71-year-old woman whose grandson had just started his first job out of college. When he shared how tough it was balancing work and personal life, she responded with, "Back in my day, we didn't complain, we just got on with it." She meant well, thinking she was offering strength. But her grandson left that conversation, feeling misunderstood and judged, like his struggles weren't valid. Over time, he stopped opening up, and Donna couldn't figure out why. The truth is, when you start a sentence with "back in my day," what others often hear is, "What you're going through doesn't matter." It unintentionally dismisses their reality. And even if your intention is to share wisdom, it may not land that way, especially with younger people who are searching for connection, not correction. That one phrase can turn a warm moment of vulnerability into a cold wall of silence. Now, that doesn't mean you should stop sharing your stories. Not at all. Your experiences matter. But instead of framing them as a comparison or a critique, try saying, I remember facing something similar once. Would you like to hear about it? That small shift invites conversation instead of cutting it off. It shows respect. It creates space for your story and theirs to sit side by side. When you lead with curiosity and openness, people respond. They feel safe around you. They come back. You're still the same wise, seasoned soul you've always been. But now your words make room for others to join you in your world instead of pushing them away. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, the phrase, what's the point? There's a quiet sadness buried inside the words. What's the point? On the surface, it sounds like resignation, a moment of fatigue or frustration. But when spoken often, especially by someone over 70, it becomes more than just a passing comment. It starts to sound like giving up. And the people around you hear it loud and clear, even if you don't realize it. They hear hopelessness, weariness, and a loss of meaning. And over time, it creates a ripple effect that reaches far beyond the moment. It drains energy from the room. It leaves loved ones unsure of what to say or how to help. Think about Frank, a 76-year-old who used to be the life of the party. But after his wife passed, his conversation slowly shifted. When his daughter invited him out, he'd say, what's the point? When friends called, he'd reply, there's no point anymore. And eventually the invitation stopped. Not because they didn't care, but because it hurt to hear him talk that way. His words made them feel powerless, as if nothing they could offer would make a difference. And here's the hard truth when you say, what's the point? Often enough, people may begin to believe you. They may stop trying. They may retreat, not out of frustration, but out of emotional fatigue. Because they love you, and it breaks their heart to keep hearing that your life has no meaning. But the truth is, there's always a point. Even if the world has changed, even if your routines are different, your roles have shifted, your energy has lessened, there's still meaning in your words, in your presence, in the quiet ways you show up. The key is to remember that your value doesn't come from what you do. It comes from who you are and the stories only you can tell. So instead of saying, what's the point? Try asking, what would bring me a little joy today? That one question can change the entire shape of your day. It opens the door to small actions, tiny sparks of purpose. And those small sparks, when shared, can reignite the connection between you and those who care about you most. People want to be around someone who is still curious, still reaching, still present. Not because you need to be cheerful all the time, but because hope, even in small doses, draws people in. It reminds them that their effort matters, that their presence is welcome, and that they're not alone in wanting to keep the light on. Don't underestimate the power of a question. Don't let this phrase define your days. There is always a point, and sometimes it begins with changing just a few words. Number 4, the phrase you wouldn't understand. There's a certain sting in the words you wouldn't understand. At first glance, it may seem like a harmless defense, a way of protecting yourself from judgment or avoiding a difficult explanation. But over time, this phrase becomes a barrier, a kind of emotional wall that keeps others at arm's length. What might begin as a way of saving energy or avoiding discomfort slowly sends the message that real connection isn't possible. And when you say it often, people start to believe it. They stop asking. They stop trying. They pull back, not out of disinterest, but out of quiet defeat. I remember hearing about Eleanor, an 82-year-old widow who had gone through a lot: health struggles, loss, loneliness. Her granddaughter, just entering her 30s, tried again and again to get close to her. She'd ask questions, offer to visit, even cook meals together. But whenever a deeper topic came up, Eleanor would shake her head and say, "You wouldn't understand." Eventually, her granddaughter stopped asking, not because she didn't care, but because she felt shut out, like her presence wasn't enough, her care wasn't valid. When you say you wouldn't understand, you may think you're saving someone from the burden of your story. But the truth is, you're denying them the chance to show up. You're telling them that their empathy isn't welcome, that their effort won't be enough. And in doing so, you don't just protect yourself, you isolate yourself. The reality is, people don't have to fully understand your experience to want to share it with you. Connection isn't built on perfect comprehension, it's built on presence, listening, and care. By allowing someone to try to sit with you in your truth, even if they don't fully grasp every detail, you give them a gift. You invite them closer. You let them love you in the way they know how. So instead of saying, "You wouldn't understand," try something like, "It's hard to explain, but I'd like to share if you're open to hearing." That shift changes everything. It creates space. It honors both your experience and their effort. It invites conversation, even if it's imperfect. People want to be included in your world. They want to help you carry the emotional weight, not take it from you, but carry it with you. Don't push them away before they even have the chance to step in. Let them try. Let them care. Let them understand in their own way. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, the phrase "I'm too old for that." Saying "I'm too old for that" may feel like an honest statement, maybe even a lighthearted one, but over time it becomes a quiet resignation, a line drawn in the sand. When you use that phrase, especially around others who care about you, it doesn't just close off opportunities, it closes off connection. It sends the message that life is behind you, that trying something new, participating, or even just showing interest is no longer worth the effort. And people hear that. They feel it. And gradually, they stop inviting you in. Let me tell you about Charles, 81, who used to love music. When his friends organized a small community choir, they asked if he'd come sing with them like he used to. Without thinking, he said, "I'm too old for that." The offer didn't come again, not because they didn't want him there, but because he had told them with that one phrase that his days of joining in were over. What he didn't see was that it wasn't about performance, it was about presence, about sharing a moment, a laugh, a memory. When you say, "I'm too old for that," you might think you're setting realistic expectations. But more often, it sounds like you've stopped seeing yourself as someone capable of joy, curiosity, or adventure. It tells others not to expect anything from you. And while that may feel safe, it's also deeply isolating. The truth is, there's no expiration date on wonder. You're not too old to learn something new, try a different hobby, or join a conversation that's outside your comfort zone. You're not too old to say yes. And when you do, you remind others and yourself that aging isn't about stepping back. It's about stepping differently. Instead of saying, "I'm too old for that," consider saying, "That's new to me, but I'll give it a try," or even "Tell me more about it." Those words don't commit you to anything, but they keep the door open. They show that you're still present, still engaged, still willing to stretch, even if just a little. People are drawn to that kind of spirit. It's not about proving anything, it's about participating. It's about reminding others that you still want to share the experience of being alive, no matter what your needs, your memory, or your energy might be doing that day. The moment you stop saying, "I'm too old for that," is the moment you start living in a way that invites others back in. You stop pushing people away with your own limitations and start showing them that there's still so much left of you to know. And that's a beautiful thing. Number 6, the phrase "I don't matter anymore." There's almost nothing more heartbreaking than hearing someone say, "I don't matter anymore." It's the kind of phrase that slips out during quiet moments, when you feel unseen, unheard, or unsure of your place in the world. But while those feelings are valid, the words themselves can do lasting harm, not just to you, but to the people who care about you. Because when you say this often enough, it begins to rewrite the story of how others see you. It replaces your identity with a sense of absence. And worst of all, it makes those around you feel helpless, like no amount of love or effort can ever reach you. Let me tell you about Lorraine, an 83-year-old who had always been the pillar of her family. After her husband passed and her health declined, she began saying things like, "I don't matter anymore. I'm just here, taking up space." Her son, her daughter-in-law, even her teenage grandchildren would visit and try to engage her. But every time she said it, they left feeling a little more deflated, unsure how to respond. Over time, they came less frequently, not out of neglect, but because they didn't know how to fight against a message that kept shutting the door. When you say you don't matter, you take yourself out of the picture. You silence your own voice. And while you may think you're simply expressing how you feel, what you're really doing is creating emotional distance. People begin to worry they're not enough to lift you up. They feel like they're failing you, even when they're trying their best. And that's a heavy thing to carry. But here's what's still true. No matter what age you are, you do matter. You matter not because of what you can do, but because of who you are. You matter because your life, your story, your presence carries meaning. You've shaped people's lives. You've survived hardships. You've offered love. And even now, especially now, your presence holds weight. Instead of saying, I don't matter anymore, try saying, sometimes I feel invisible, but I want to feel connected. That shift is honest. It's real. But it also invites others in. It gives them a way to meet you where you are, instead of being shut out. It creates space for kindness to land, for love to reach you. You are not invisible. You are not irrelevant. And even in your quietest seasons, you hold a light that others still look for. Don't dim it with words that erase your own worth. Speak with honesty, yes, but also with hope. Because your voice, your presence, your story still matters more than you know. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, I want you to take a moment and really reflect on the words we've covered today. Not just the 6 phrases themselves, but the reasons behind them, the habits, the fears, the quiet ways we sometimes disconnect without realizing it. Maybe 1 or 2 of these phrases hit close to home. Maybe all 6 did. But whatever the case may be, this isn't about guilt. It's about awareness. It's about realizing that the words we use, even the softest ones, carry power. They shape the way others see us. And more importantly, they shape the way we allow others to love us. You might not be able to change the past, or how often you've said something like, I'm just a burden, or what's the point? But you can change the next moment, the next conversation, the next chance you have to let someone in. That's what matters most. Your words can invite people closer, or they can quietly push them away. And you, my friend, still have a say in which direction things go. So here's my challenge for you. Pick one of these phrases and make the decision to let it go. Replace it with something that leaves the door open. Something that shows others you're still here, still willing, still worthy of connection. Because you are. And no matter your age, your health, or your circumstances, the way you speak about yourself influences how the world responds to you. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.